Let's double check if it's starting to stream. It looks that way. I think we are live.
What is going to be our banner? Hello, we are live, are we?
Yes. There, we have got one set up.
Yes.
There we go. Unless we want to go for our normal one. But let's go with that one first.
Let's do that one first.
Yes, cool. So,
happy
welcome,
Monday,
people.
Cobus. Happy Monday,
yes,
Cobus, and happy Monday, people.
Not quite happy Monday yet, but it's Monday, at least. We can agree on that.
Okay. That's fine. For me, it's second coffee Monday, so I've already finished my first one, but I figured like, hey, I'm gonna get myself a second one, because why not?
Yeah, I was going to head over to coffee number 4, I believe, but then I got bogged down in a call, so I wasn't able to, unfortunately, do that. Okay. And so welcome for those joining us. For those that did join us on Friday, we did have we did the SSL certificate that I did while you had that session that prevented you from joining us. Yes. But I was able to expand our session with a new presenter. Okay. And we will bring him back into our session because he is muted, but he's a very important member of the series from now on. So we'll have him pop in every now and again when we want to really wait. Let's actually take the banner away. Give me a second, because otherwise we can't see his name. There we go. He's a very, very happy little monitor arm, or monitor stand rather. So
okay.
Yes. Right. Okay. Hello, what are we going to do today, quickly?
So today, I think we would like to take a small break from actually doing the bean stream thing, not the bean stream, the application we're building. So for those of you who don't know, we've been, for the past few episodes, we have been building a full, well-architected application on AWS, including all of its infrastructure with CDK. And that has been fun. Basically, we are building a container-based application that's going to do something, but we want to make it fully well-architected, set up on the cloud. So basically, like anybody else would be doing it. It's not a hello world example. It's going to be something more than a hello world example. And last time, Cobus actually set up a very important part, and that he created an SSL certificate for a domain we have. That's all good. Now, the next goal we want to do is basically move it all to a separate account and use it there. We haven't done that yet. So today, I actually think we take a small break from all that, and we're still going to be talking infrastructure as code, but I really wanted to have a look, and this is where my friend Cobus comes in, is that I liked his comments on CDK TF, because apparently a lot of people don't know that exists. So, and a fair point, it's relatively new. So CDK, or Cloud Development Kit, is an infrastructure as code framework that helps you build your infrastructure as code, but through the use of some generic programming languages such as Java, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, C#, and F#, and Golang coming 2020. So basically, you can use those languages to build your infrastructure. In general, it produces CloudFormation code, right? It produces CloudFormation. The backend, it uses CloudFormation
templates. I wouldn't go as far as calling CloudFormation code. It's unless you are a YAML developer. No comment.
Is there such a thing as a YAML developer or a JSON developer? So yeah, in general, it produces CloudFormation templates. It produces them. It doesn't matter, YAML or JSON. But one of the things people ask me, and this has happened, I think, even on our last stream or on a few. I had an event last week, the one I was late for. No, it was the day before. I did something on CDK, and people asking me, so is CDK like competition to Terraform, right? Does this mean that this is the new player in the game against Terraform? No. And I'm going to be actually be doing that today, because CDK, there's a Terraform module for CDK. You can deploy Terraform with CDK, and yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the thing I want to try to play around with today.
Yeah. So quickly, just Joe, who I know has been on a couple of our shows before, for those who don't see the comments because of the multiple destinations. This is exactly what we want to do today. Is that so? Darko has got extensive experience with CloudFormation, and he's been doing a lot with the CDK as well. I've been dabbling with the CDK, but I use Terraform in production for 5-6 years already. So I started with Terraform on version 0.6. So when it was still quite rough, and I built quite a lot of interesting things with this. So the whole idea is that today we're going to take the CDK TF open source project, or I don't know how you would call it. It's an open source engine project, for an engine. Yeah.
And it's actually made by HashiCorp. So HashiCorp is fully, a part of this apparently. So it's not something like, it's here's the thing. CDK democratizes it, however you use that word. But it enables other people to use infrastructure as code, even though they're not good in a specific language such as HCL or in a language such as YAML or JSON, right? So, for example, if you have experience in Python, in JavaScript, in TypeScript, any of those languages, and you wish to do some infrastructure as code, well, CDK or Cloud Development Kit is there for you. Why are you putting a hoodie on? Is it that cold?
It is, for a change. It is winter. Yes, today is 13 degrees, and for the first time this winter, I'm actually feeling like I might need to put on something other than a t-shirt.
Yes, I want winter. We have 32 degrees in Berlin.
I actually don't know. Sorry,
I've been just fanning myself all day. I bought a big ass fan just to cool me off because there's no AC in Germany.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually the reason why my room's a little bit cooler is I decided to be a little bit more, efficient. And because I'm not playing any games at the moment, given that I've got kids and don't have time, I took out the second GPU from my machine. So it's only one 1080 running now, which is the machine used for streaming. So that's why it's not as warm in the room anymore.
It will live.
Yes.
Okay, so plan for today. Plan for today is for us to try this CDK Terraform. No, so now I have not even installed it. I have no idea how it works. I know CDK a bit. Cobus knows Terraform a bit, so I guess we'll see how this all works. We're going to try to create something with CDK Terraform and comment on it, right? So that's the whole point. Yeah. So let me actually bring up my screen share here.
Cool.
Okay, like that. I'll share my entire screen-ish. Like that. Also, new laptop, so hopefully doesn't kill my everything here. I can still work on it. Perfect. And let me pop in the screen share.
Okay.
Excellent. Hey.
Yeah. So the Andre. So actually, let me just quickly grab it. Give me a second.
One GPU off. Yeah. You took the GPU off, Mr. Sidekick?
As well as I literally took it out of the machine. It's one of these. It's a MSI one. It's quite a chunky one. And when I took it out this morning, it actually felt warm to the touch. So that's why I decided to. It's obviously charring. Actually, I can quantify that as well. Give me a second. I did some fun things.
So that's a man with two GPUs, right? So
yes. Well,
I've never used GPUs. Like that's a thing in my life that I was as a kid. I was a kid in high school. It was like, oh my god, I wish I had two GPUs. That would be so amazing. SLI, and Crossfire, and whatnot. But never.
You're giving away your age. The fact that that's where you started. If you were talking about 3DFX and what were those cards? The NVIDIA Riva Tuner. Riva cards from
Riva TNT.
Yeah.
Riva TNT. NVIDIA GeForce 256.
No. Those were like years later. I'll remember them. It's the
Voodoo 3D.
Not the monster cards. Yes, Voodoo 3D. There we go. 3D, yeah, that's where it started.
I remember those, but it was a bit past my time.
Yeah. If you didn't have a video card that you could add memory sockets to it, like literally it's got the socket and you put the chip in. That's where it all started. But cool. Let's get started with the Terraform and the CDK bit. We should actually have a Geek Out show on old tech, because I know Darko's got quite a lot. It was hilarious because I was chatting to him the other day, and then I let's see if the camera can focus on it. Let's see. Can we read that? There we go. Possibly a little bit, but yeah, it's the E8400 Core 2 Duo. And it was amusing because he just told me about one that he's buying, and then I'm like, oh, you mean this one? And I had it on my desk.
But speaking of graphic cards of dreams, so I bought myself now, after all the time, my dream graphics card from 2006 when I was in high school. It was NVIDIA 88,000 GT. This was like the bee's knees back then, and I bought it off eBay for like a couple of bucks. So I also bought the E8400, and I'm gonna make myself a Windows XP machine of Darko's high school years. So
Nice.
I bought it off, so I just need to. I have it all now, so I just need to configure it. So fun.
Cool. Okay, but getting back to the fun.
Back to the fact. CDK for Terraform. Again,
Yes.
like a lot of things with CDK, it's an npm module, right? So you basically just install using npm. So I'm actually looking at the blog post from HashiCorp. And I'm gonna paste it here, so if anybody wants to follow along, I have no experience with this, and I'm literally full transparency just reading through this to see how it works. So Terraform calls it enabling Python and TypeScript support, basically giving you TypeScript and Python support for Terraform. But in essence, you're just using CDK to do all of those things. So it's not like including TypeScript and Python into Terraform code. It's a whole different way, apparently. So let's start with this working. Let's try to make it work.
Yeah. So let's install it first.
CDK,
of course.
TF, because we need to have lol banner.
Now it's official. Now we can start the content.
Now we can start the content. So let's create a.
We do need to practice. It's been 11 minutes, so I think we need to get our. Maybe we start the session 10 minutes early next time for random chit chat.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we can do that. Create a repository. So let's call it. CDK TF test drive.
Yes.
Okay.
We can take it to drive.
Yes. All right. I have to install a module.
Let's have a look here. This will be interesting for me as well, because I've read up on this, but I haven't actually looked at it in detail, and I did spend a bit more time last week with CDK, so I've got a much better feeling for it. So I want to see what we can get out here.
So I'm using sudo here because I'm installing it globally. That's kind of the thing. Also, I'm going to be looking down because the stream is a bit slower, and I have trouble typing, looking at my characters going on. So if I'm looking down, it's because of that. Okay.
And I've got the same problem where this is the copy of the stream straight in front of me, so I can at least make eye contact with everybody, but it's because it's not the one that I'm streaming on, I'm a little bit delayed, so it confuses me. You're perfectly in sync. Then that side is the Windows machine running the stream, so that's where I look to myself in real time. And then on this side, I've now got my my CDK Terraform notes.
Well, there you go. So basically, I have a single screen and a laptop. So I look at you here like that, and when I have the camera, it's here. Unfortunately, I cannot move the thing close enough so I can look at you and the camera at the same time. So and the laptop is just here. So it follows the very same principle of anything else. It uses a separate CLI. That's the thing. So as you can see, I have not used the normal CDK CLI. I've installed something specific, and it's called CDK TF. And you can see it's version 0.14. So
very
0.14.
alpha.
So it's very alpha, right? So do not expect to take this off into production right now. I would be very about that. I'm not sure what everything is supported, so be careful about doing anything in production with this. It's good to play around still. Like anything we say right now is subject to change, so keep that in mind. Don't use this video as an end all. Hey, this is how you run production in Terraform with CDK. So okay, and as with CDK, you do the same thing. CDK init, a language. Actually,
TypeScript,
try something. Let me do this. Type data. It's gonna say, oh, it supports all the languages apparently. Type data is not supported, but you can do C#, F#, JavaScript, Python, and TypeScript. Cool. I just want to make sure which languages were supported.
So let's just do TypeScript, because I'm assuming that's probably going to be the best experience so far.
Yeah, and that's the one in the blog post. So. Okay, installing again. It's gonna do a very similar thing if I understand correctly. It's gonna generate a whole lot of scaffolding, but apparently it's gonna download a sample project. Interesting.
That'll be interesting to see what it starts off with.
It
also I see you.
Yeah, it does.
I see you haven't set up your
cloud organization.
Okay, that makes sense.
Workspace specified.
Yeah, so Workspace is so Workspace is a very interesting feature on Terraform that I love, and I would love to see that for CDK at some point. Where what you do is you create a project with source folder, and then when you initialize it, you create a workspace as well. So it used to be called environment before version 0.11, but then they realized that there are different ways you want to use it. So it's not always just the environment. So they renamed it to workspace. And what it does is that I can create a workspace like, let's say, dev, test, production, and other environments, or whatever I want to call it. And then what I do is when I switch into that workspace, and then it's got a different state file. So what makes it useful is you can combine that with environment variables that you pass in and parameters to Terraform to execute in different workspaces. So you literally have one state file defined, and by incorporating this workspace, you can have the dev, test, Darko, Cobus, whatever version of it running, which is super nice. Yeah.
By the way, I made a mistake. Not sure if anybody noticed, but I ran CDK init, not CDK TF init.
Ooh.
Let me control C out of this and RF with CDK TF, and again.
Let's start again.
Let's start again. Luckily, it's very simple. So CDK TF init. This is gonna be confusing. Type language. Oh, now I can see which language is supported. These are not. Unknown argument language. Ooh, what? Oh, template. Okay. Weird. It doesn't use language, it uses template.
Oh, that's first difference. Let's have a look here. You can kind of expect this.
It supports only Python and TypeScript. So see, template. Here, it supports only Python and TypeScript. So interesting. All right.
Darko, can you just say something again? There was a bit of interference with your mic.
Was it? Is it better now?
Okay, no, it's better. Yeah, it's better now. There was just a bit of noise. Okay, cool. But it's fine. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look here.
What kind of noise? Was it like a...
just audio interference, but it might have been on my end. I sometimes have it with my headphones, but let's just I'll keep an ear on it.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, perfect. So, there we go. A bunch of questions. Terraform credentials. Local storage is recommended for storing state of your stacks. Do you want to configure remote state management?
So let's cover this quickly. State. State is a JSON file that stores the last known state of the infrastructure you created. So in Terraform, for those not familiar, that means that it keeps track of when it creates infrastructure, it writes it to this file with all the properties. And the next time you run your plan and your apply phase, it'll actually use that to figure out what it wants to change based on what it sees on the other side, what's in the state file, and what it sees in your file. So this is obviously now, where do we store this? Because you want to store this securely, because if you lose this, life is going to become very unpleasant. So in this case, it's going to make use.
It's offering Terraform Cloud, which is their own hosting solution, right?
Yes.
Okay. Shall we go for it? Or what do you think?
We shall say, I'm kind of want to say no. The reason is if we say yes, we would have to go create a account that side. And I want to focus on the CDK part of this. So I think let's focus on that maybe in a future episode where we go down that route.
I apologize, HashiCorp. I promise I'll create an account in the future for this. So currently...
I'll make up for it by saying that I've had one since beta.
Okay, it's going to be a no for me, dog. No. Perfect. Project name, CDK test drive. That's fine. Oh, a lot more questions here. Descriptions. Simple getting started project for CDK TF. I'll go with that. And
I love it when there are good defaults.
Yeah. Installing CDK TF. Well, CDK TF is installed. Oh no, this is CDK TF. It's different. Okay. Constructs.
But what it'll probably do is it'll get the required Terraform files and binaries. So one difference between CDK and Terraform already is that with CDK, we've seen now we're dealing with node modules. Node is the base building system for all the different libraries that we install. And you tend to install a library per, let's say, area of AWS you're dealing with. So you install one library for EC2, you install one library for code build and code pipeline, etc. Where with Terraform, the way it works is that you have got a provider, which is a binary. So you've got the base Terraform binary. It's written in Go, so it compiles down to a single executable binary file that you deal with. And then when you install the different providers and plugins, they are effectively binaries in themselves, and you have one per provider. So there's one AWS one with everything in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's looking for Yarn. I have no Yarn installed. Yarn is I think it's similar to npm, if I understand correctly. Okay.
This is now that rabbit hole of JavaScript where I know npm is where most people start. Then there's Yarn. Then there's, I can't remember what the other one is. I know it's got a bull that's smiling or something. It's not the GNU bull or ox that you have, but there's something else that it uses. But you use npm to install Yarn, and there was one project where I needed Yarn to then install the next one, and then all the build tools are solving different problems, and they try and fix it.
Okay. I'm just recreating everything because I'm not sure what build. So you need to have Yarn installed apparently. CDK TF in it.
Just quickly for Kanher, yes, on Friday it was quite amusing. What happened there is that Darko had another session running and wasn't able to join at the start of the session, so I decided that it's very difficult to talk on my own, so I decided to get a sidekick over here.
Exactly.
And just if you're wondering, that is literally a monitor stand. I sat giggling for 5 minutes probably nonstop because I mounted my arms on, my monitors on arms, and obviously when I took off the base stand, that was looking at it. I'm like, come on, no, somebody, I mean, at least engrave a name or something in there as part of the joke, because
it's a very smug look there. Okay, so CDKTF get is a new thing apparently. So it actually downloads, I guess, providers, right? So it's it does something with providers. So okay, TypeScript contract.
Well, we can scratch around a bit. I'd love to see. Do LSAL, please, because I want to see everything that's inside this directory, because I would expect there to still be a .terraform directory here somewhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's going to be a .gen something or something like that. So just looking at what this is, it's just a bit too big here. Okay, CDK TF TypeScript project is ready. You can run npm run compile to compile. Okay, run watch. Okay, so it uses, interesting. It uses, does it use TSC or, okay, interesting. Synth that will synthesize Terraform. It's basically ready for Terraform apply. CDK diff. Oh, okay, interesting. You can differentiate those things. Deploy.
So that's so Terraform plan is one of the big things way back now. Once again, take into account this, when I made this switch from CloudFormation to Terraform was in 2014, I think. 2013 or 14, I can't remember. It's around about those years. 14, 15, maybe even. But at that point, there was no mechanism with CloudFormation that you could say, what are you going to apply to the infrastructure? Where Terraform came out with this plan function, which is just like, I sat there like, I want this, because it tells you like, this is what I want to apply. And you can validate it, put it in your pull request, and check, I'm going to roll this out. So that was one of the main things that made me use Terraform back in the day. Now, granted, the background was that I joined a project that had some automation with, and by automation, I mean bash scripts. They were calling AWS CLIs directly, which was a good way to get started and at least track some things, but obviously not ideal. And then it became, okay, how do we handle this and scale it out? So went the CloudFormation route. That then was a little bit not as good. Then Ansible at that point was like, the thing is like everybody's using it. It's going to solve all your problems. So I went that route. And then I got very angry at that undefined variable purple message that kept flicking past, but it continued to execute. It's a Python thing apparently. And I wasn't that good at Python then. So I used Ansible for 6 months until I realized that this isn't going to work for me. Also realized about how to break down your app into multiple states, not just have this massive repo that does everything. And then obviously Terraform solved all my problems because the tool fixed it. It wasn't me that was wrong. Never. Yeah. I mean,
it was never.
never me.
It's always the tool, right? So, okay, now cool. I mean, I remember the Ansible days, so I also tried Ansible initially, and I still know people who swear by Ansible. It's like the best thing. I cannot say if I can stand by that because Ansible is great for. I find Ansible more great for configuring operating systems than for provisioning infrastructure because of the fact that Ansible, at least at that time, would not be able to manage the state. It was just, it would provision what it has, and if you run it again, once more, right? So it's a bit iffy. But okay, cool. So we are ready to work here. Now let's see what happens. Let's be smart about it. Ranger. What do we have here? Let me show hidden. So
yes,
there's
there we
the
go.
Terraform directory, right?
Yes, in there, there's plugins.
And the provider
there
for
we go.
AWS.
Yeah. Cool. So we've got the provider.
Wow.
Yeah. Remember, it is everything in one, and it's a single Go binary. So it covers, and that will include the AWS SDK, I believe, because that's how they make the calls.
Okay. Okay. There's the gen. This is something that's being created, and that's actually something they're showing off here. Okay, so these are all different AWS.
Okay, so this is how it does that provider, I think. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it generates them off the Terraform classes somehow.
Huh.
Okay.
I'm looking at this. Okay, so literally X creates these Terraform TypeScript classes or TypeScript modules here, and basically I have the ability to use them as such. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Malik Yawar, I'm using Manjaro Linux here.
Yeah, just quickly.
Yeah, Manjaro Linux. So, by the way, I have never asked the chat here. Is the color scheme on the terminal okay? I use this as my color scheme of preference, but I'm not sure if it's as good as it visible enough on the stream as well, because it might seem a bit dark.
From my side, it looks good. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's definitely a lot better since we received the 1080p feature on StreamYard.
Yes, exactly. Much better, yeah.
Yeah,
Until
720
recently,
was a
it
little bit
720.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see those providers are there. That's very interesting how that works. Cool. And basically, I think the way we work here is the main TS. Apparently, according to the documentation, this is where we actually work. Good. Excellent.
I see how this is going to work.
Yeah. So it basically imports all the stuff. So let's do something here. Okay. Let me exit from here, and I'm going to actually just run a vim main TS. Perfect. It's a bit better now.
Okay.
It's the green is different in Vim than it is in Ranger, so it's better here. Okay, cool. So looking at the documentation here, you basically need to import. For example, if you want to create a VPC, you need to import the VPC module. But unlike in vanilla CDK CloudFormation, you don't have to install anything. So you basically do it this way. So let me just yank this, paste it here, and let me VPC like that. Yeah, that's how it works.
Because that's now from those classes we just saw, because everything is already pre-generated on the disk. So we don't have to install it. We just have to reference it.
Exactly. So just gen, and then providers, and then AWS, and then VPC. Yeah. And this should be fine. Cool. Now, what do I have to do here? Do I have to, looking at the example here right now, do I have to define a provider? Well, I don't have to.
Yes, you probably have to. Let me just look at this config over here. Well, let's learn.
Let's
do a VPC on. Yeah, VPC on its own and see what happens.
Const VPC equals a new VPC, right? And then again, very similar to the CloudFormation one. Give it a context. Call it, of course, my VPC, like that, and then do some properties. What are the properties here?
Probably a CIDR.
CIDR, that's all the things we need. CIDR block is going to be
that's usually
Tenza 0, 0, 0, 0,
0/16. Yeah. Let's get greedy and grab a lot of IPs.
Interesting.
Const. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Now again, I think this will follow the same pattern where Terraform has. Looking at the example documentation, I'm going to run this right now, but I think it's going to be less opinionated. So it's not going to be like CDK for CloudFormation. When you do VPC, it does all the things. Here it does things gradually, right? So looking at the example code here, I'm going to run this right now to see if it works, but I think it's going to just create a VPC. So let's actually check this out. Let me just be nice here.
So just as a side entertainment note, I'm Googling for CDK TF modules. So CDK TF one word and then modules second word. And while it gives me some results, Google has asked me, did you mean CDC TB modules?
Okay.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis.
Yes, no. So what Darko is hinting at is that this is one of the big differences for those not familiar with Terraform versus CDKs. Terraform matches the AWS resources one-to-one in the base implementation.
Yeah.
So the provider has got all of these different resources for, let's say you want to spin up a VPC. There's a resource for the VPC itself, which is literally just the VPC. Then subnet, then routing table, then routing table association, internet gateway, yada, yada, yada. But there is a very healthy module ecosystem out there with official modules for the different building blocks. So there is a VPC module. So I'd love us to see if we can get a VPC module into this project and see how it works.
But one of the things I do like here is that it looks very much, so this right-hand example is CDK code for a VPC also. It's basically very much similar, right? So here I do it a bit differently, but basically if you want, you can also define the CIDR block here as well. It's not mandatory. There's a default that CDK on AWS uses. Sorry, CDK on CloudFormation. It's gonna be complicated as we go along, but it's very similar. So I love the fact that you can use not completely entirely the same code. It's not, you can't do that just because the way Terraform does things, but you can use very similar code. So I think this is I'm very excited about this. Okay, so let's compile. Let's compile.
Cool.
CDK TF synth. So this is gonna synthesize Terraform. All right.
Cool.
VPC. It's not an error. It's a warning. Why would you break it?
Oh, because we don't use it, so that's why.
But still,
remember, no. So what you can do is just if you don't want to get rid of the warning, you can rip out the constant VPC. Because remember, any in programming language, if you don't use the variable, they can tell you why you're assigning it, because it's slightly different with the infrastructure creation.
Okay. I mean, this works on the OG CDK, right? So when you use CloudFormation, it just doesn't care, right? It's a warning, so it's not an error. But okay, let's actually because this will not work by itself. If I create this, it's going to create just a blank VPC. So the thing I need to do is I need to add a subnet, right? So new, and here's the thing. As before, I need to also do some additional things. I need to import a subnet, because subnet is not part of VPC. So it uses the same modules as subnet, like that. Yeah, there we go. Uses the same modules as Terraform in general. So to create a new subnet, I can just do new subnet, and then again, similar like this. This my subnet A, and then some properties. Okay, we need to define VPC ID, and the VPC ID will be, this is interesting, token as string. Interesting.
Could be interesting.
VPC at ID. Okay. And CIDR block is going to be 10.00000116. Right? No, not 0. 010.
No. Yeah.
/24.
I was about to say.
Okay. Okay, this is not working. What is token? Cannot find name token.
So look here quickly. I had it
I'm
open
looking at
as
the
well.
example code. Okay, so it uses a token to. Okay, so there's a thing here. To create a subnet based on a VPC, pass the VPC ID to a subnet. The main TS demonstrates the creation of a VPC and a subnet based on this identifier. The example uses a token to cast the VPC ID as a string type and enable CDK for Terraform to resolve the value of the VPC later in synthesis.
Yes.
But what is token?
It's interesting.
Tokens.
Oh, there we go. So go to your second import line, add a comma token. No, sorry, importing the token object from the CDK TF.
I see it. Okay. I wonder why that is.
Well, because we're not doing import everything.
No. I'm wondering why token is. I mean, I opened up the GitHub page now on token. I'm going to read it later on to see what it is about. But apparently that's a way that we pass a value from one part to the other during the synthesization.
Okay.
Synthesis. Doing synthesis. Okay, let's try it again. Go back here, clear, and then CDK TF synth. Okay. This looks good.
Yep.
Okay, generated code. Now we have something here. Let's go to CDKTF out. And okay.
Sorry, just quickly for the audience, can someone confirm if they also had a bit of audio interruption just now?
We could hear your
when
kids.
Darko was speaking. You could hear my kids?
I could hear something in the background like a child. Was that... Do you have noise cancelling on?
That's... I do have it. It should be on. Give me a second actually to confirm. That would be audio. It should be filtering it out, but that's interesting. Maybe I need to put that other GPU back.
Aha.
That would be amusing if it had issues. Normally, everything seems to be set up the same way. But, I mean, if my audio quality is worse than before, I'll happily put it back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's okay. Cool. So this is what we have here. This is the out file, right? So it's basically generates a JSON file. And this would be the same as you would use on Terraform, right?
Well, if you just open up that, wait, that's CDK the TF.out. That's not a JSON file. That's a binary file. Yeah.
Okay. It generates this.
Oh, wow.
So
this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because normally the out file is
it's binary, right? And this looks
it's normally binary. It's this it's normally this chunk.
Looks very much like CloudFormation.
Let me quickly check. Let me see. Thanks for that, Lebanitsa. I've turned my gain down a little bit, so maybe just throw another comment there if you think this is more even then. Because Darko and myself have been trying to stabilize our audio.
I may be a bit more quiet because my mic is somewhere down, so I can see the screen. But I can always boost myself up.
My one is hiding here right in front of my face. It's just below the screen. Oh, for those wondering, it's a nice blue Yeti.
It's a red Yeti.
But it's not. Yes, I know. Trust me, it confused me as well because the brand name is blue, the model number is Yeti, and I just got red because of fun.
Okay, so basically generates a Terraform configuration VPC. Looking at the documentation here, users can also print Terraform JSON configuration using a CDK TF synth --JSON. So if I would be doing CDK TF synth and then --JSON, it would print it out directly on screen, I believe.
So that's the plan portion of Terraform that's normally interesting, where you can actually review. Okay, so just do me a favor, can you run Terraform just to see if you've got it installed there? I don't suppose it would be added to your path, or did you install? Oh, you installed it with part of your previous fund that you had.
Yeah,
right.
I have my old version here as well. So if I would do Terraform, basically the workflow for Terraform, and here's the thing. You can still use Terraform here, right? It's not like you have to use CDK. So I use CDK to generate this code. And if I go to CDKTF.out and do Terraform Terraform init, really? Init, you can do it that way, right?
Yeah.
You can do Terraform plan.
It'll be interesting.
Ooh, interesting. AU West 1.
Yeah, because I think we haven't set up the provider properly yet. Yeah,
exactly. And this is what happens. So,
but now for the fun part, do me a favor. I want to see what happens if you say Terraform show and then that plan JSON file.
This?
Yes. Yep. Ah, this is now where it starts getting interesting.
Okay.
Huh.
It's a state file, doesn't have a version attribute. This is not a state file. It's something.
Oh, sorry. The plan output file. There was a JSON.
I didn't put it. So.
No, not this. What I'm looking for is when we ran the initial CDK synth or CDK TF synth. Somewhere it created a file that looked to me like the output, the plan file.
This one.
This is the state file.
Yeah.
This is not the plan file. Because normally with Terraform, you can actually output to a plan file. So I'd be curious to see
So, I mean, if I run CDK Terraform plan, it just showed me the plan.
Yes.
But
Okay, hold on.
CDK TF didn't do it by default, right? So,
yes, just show me everything inside this directory, please. Is there a...
So there's a soft link to the Terraform directory. That's just fine.
Okay,
but
yeah.
This is it, basically.
Okay. Okay, I see now what happens. Okay, gotcha. No,
so
let's continue.
On the blog post, there's two types of workflows. You can continue using the default Terraform workflow, which you've seen me do it right now with the Terraform init, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. So if I do Terraform apply, it would apply something. Would it work like this?
Well, so how it works is with Terraform is if you don't have the if you don't run a plan and output. So when you run plan, it doesn't by default output it to a file. It just shows you this is what I want to apply. But then there's a flag you can set to output it to a file, and then when you run apply, if you don't specify the file, it'll run plan again and tell you this is what I want to do, and then accept or not. And if you do give it a plan file, and that was what I was curious about now, is that it'll actually automatically then apply that file because you're giving it a file, so it assumes, hey, take this plan and go apply it. Thank you.
Okay. Just to answer this question from Joe Frickson, CDK, is there a similar to FMT to CDKTF? FMT is part of Terraform, which formats your Terraform code. Now, because CDKTF is written in a generic language, like TypeScript in this case, there's no such thing, right? So you can use some other linting tooling for TypeScript and basically just use that, right, to make it nicer. You can use an editor that does that for you as well. So if you use like VS Code and the Terraform, not the Terraform, the TypeScript plugin, it would do that for you as well. So there is no such thing here. But if you... Does this actually generate Terraform code? It doesn't generate Terraform code. Interesting.
No, it should.
Well, it showed you JSON. It showed you synthesized code. It doesn't generate TF files.
So a little bit of history on that. You can actually have Terraform generate JSON files instead of using HCL. Yes, if you wanted to. I think this is where we're leveraging the CDK now, because CDK now is out to write to JavaScript, and that's where the transpiling happens, I believe.
Yes. Now, if I would do this, it would deploy it to a specific region, right? So that's fine. But let's not do it this way. Let's do it the CDK way. So doing it the CDK way would be basically just doing this CDK TF deploy.
Let's see what happens.
Deploy.
Boom.
Options, deploy the given stack. Why am I not missing? I'm missing argument. Oh, sorry. I have to go one up. This.
You went too far.
I went too far. And I got...
Let's see. Oh, I love the fact that they make the console apps and CLIs a lot more colorful and interactive. It's so boring, just plain text going past.
We need more emojis.
Always. We should actually test that to see if we can do tagging with, because Terraform itself supports emojis. I know the AWS CLI and AWS console support emojis for object names. Now, can we get it through all the way?
I got myself a Linux support for emojis, so I can do this and just search for an emoji and insert emojis. So,
I need that.
Let's see what's doing. Planning CDK TF test. Now, this might fail because I have not defined a region, right? So when you do Terraform apply, it asks me for a region. It didn't ask me anything here. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah,
Will it ask
I'd
me?
I'd be very curious to see what's going to happen here.
And the way you define region, it's basically by setting up this parameter or property of the AWS provider, right? And that's how it should do. Or it might be just smart enough and pick it up from my local CDK CLI configuration. So yeah, you have to have AWS CLI installed, or you have to have credentials set up locally somehow for this to work. So, or if not, you have to do it in Terraform. I guess you can do that with plain text. Don't do that, but you can.
Let's have a look here. This is running for quite a while now.
Yeah,
I wonder what it's doing.
Is it doing it so long? I don't know.
Because my understanding here is that it would generate the Terraform code, and then it would run Terraform plan, and both those, with the amount of resources we have here, should be fairly quick.
I think it may be confused now with me not specifying the region. So that might be the case. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds because it's really taking too long. Nothing should take so long to plan.
It might be stuck in the background waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's give it the control C of death, and let's actually add something to this. So the example we have here in the documentation is basically adding a provider. So do I need to add that thing? Yes, I have to do AWS provider as well. So
yeah,
here's the thing. So here, AWS provider from AWS. What is its name? It's
just take out that slash.
Just take out the slash. Okay.
Yeah, gen providers AWS. It's the root object in that folder structure that they have that I see here.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Now we're going to create a provider. Yeah, new AWS provider.
New AWS provider. And same thing, this AWS and some properties, and those properties are going to be here. We're going to define a region.
And
it's just going to be region, and it's a string EU West 1.
Yeah, so Ireland. Yeah, so this is also one of the other fun parts where Terraform, you can do some very interesting, because you can do variable substitution when you define the AWS providers and also inject them with a command line. So you can actually set this up. You can also specify multiple different ones. So for example, creating, if you think something like API gateway, where you need to create the SSL certificate in US East 1, and then from there attach it to the gateway in a different region. I remember doing things like that before. And then you just go, oh, let me define another provider quickly, specify that for the resource creation, and then that's how you jump easily.
And Mr. Joe Frickson here asks, is the semicolon required or not? Yes. It's TypeScript, so it doesn't care. So if I would remove this, it would still work sometimes, right? Even this, for example, I can just not have it here, and it would work, right? So it's I don't know. I try to keep consistent, so it's just a matter of fact. Because here's the thing: TypeScript compiles into JavaScript, so it's all handled after the fact. So.
So let me quickly grab this link.
Will you also add a profile as well on the provider variables, so we can use multiple profiles on RCLE? Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can, and also I can give you a video 20-minute long answer to that. I actually did a talk on this at the Africa HashiConf or HashiTalks session earlier this year. So go have a look at that. The repo is also available where I'd make because I would normally wrap my Terraform commands in a make file to make it simpler, passing them, make sure that you don't, for example, send in the dev environment variable, but then access the production state file.
Okay.
So it just wraps it and adds a lot of safety to it. So it makes it a little bit simpler. So have a look at that.
Cool. That's very cool. And also, Joe just mentioned it's in the import section, and it doesn't really matter if you need it. If you see my import section, only 2 lines have the semicolon at the end. The other ones don't, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's try to do it again.
Yeah.
CDK.
Let's try this now. Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna be better.
I think it's probably because it might have been hanging in the background and waiting for that input. Because that often happens when you start stringing multiple applications together. Well, command line utilities together, rather.
So this is the thing. It's alpha, right? It's 0.014. So these things are not ironed out yet. So most likely in the future, if you would do something like this and not enter the proper region, it would just fail, right? Or it would throw you. See, there we go.
This is better.
So it will create subnet and VPC. Yes, JIS. And it's deploying. Good morning,
I like the
Graham.
code.
Hi.
Yeah.
Cool, interesting. So,
also, just quickly, Graham, Mr. Sidekick won't answer you. He's taken a vow of silence.
Yes. Okay. This looks like it works. So far. The animation for the process was delayed before the success. Maybe, I don't know. Like it's all alpha. Cool. So I guess I can check this out.
Yeah, let's jump to
the inception. And I need to log in somewhere, and I need to log into my password manager.
Yes.
Make sure you all get this password. Right, there we go. This and this. I stopped using passwords. I literally have no passwords anymore. I just like random
same
string of characters. It's just, I don't care. I have one password that I need to remember, and it's this big old one. Famous last words. VPC. So let's see what we have created. Graham, yes, I am. I'm running Linux. It's the same, basically same Manjaro Linux as I did before. So.
Wait, hold on. Manjaro is what used to be known as Mandrake before they changed names.
No, whoa. No. Mandrake is what used to be called No, Mandriva came from Mandrake.
Yes, Mandriva. There we go. Sorry, yeah.
Mandriva is the first Linux I ever tried. It was in 2003. I tried Mandriva off of like 5 CDs or something like that. Yeah. So.
So Joe fricks them quickly because it's once again one of those like fun coincidences. So both Darko and myself use it's called a service called One Password. So it's got apps for everything. So it's got a desktop app for all the operating systems. I'm not sure of Linux, but
yeah, actually, you can use a command line version of 1Password on Linux. So even
so out of interest, does the Chrome extension 1Password X work on Linux?
I have
because they've got 2 extensions. The one uses the desktop app to actually, so it just syncs between them and works between them, and the other version is completely embedded inside the plugin, so you can actually use that without the desktop
I have not
app.
used that one. I have not used the one. I just use my completely embedded in the plugin. Basically, that's the only plugin I have on my browser right now, and that's the only thing I need, to be honest. I use the Brave browser, which kind of automatically blocks ads. I use the Pi-hole to block my ads house-wide, and yeah, it's very good. It works on anything basically, and I've been using it for the past 1.5 2 years now, and it's literally I don't remember passwords at all. Like I know one big password which I need to remember, and everything else is just being going through 1Password. And I mean, it's not an ad for them, but it's a really great service. Doesn't matter which password manager you use, as long as it's a good reputation one. Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah. And Graham, am I missing my Mac? I'm not missing my Mac. My Mac is just right here, right? But I hate the Mac keyboard. I have like the deepest hate for that keyboard, right? So it's a great tool. I love MacBooks. I like the Mac OS and everything, but the keyboard needs to die, right? And I have not the latest version of the Mac. It had the one previous one. And hey, if you compare the keyboards from a Mac to a keyboard from a Lenovo, it's no competition. So I'm sorry. If you ever use a Lenovo keyboard.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see what we got.
Let's see what happened. So we have created something here. Apparently, there is a something. I think it's this one. I don't know because
that's the There's the TF.
No. That's the one I created on my own. So,
but didn't we pass in a name called myVPC?
No. We that's just a logical name.
Oh, we didn't set that variable. Okay.
So
then it's likely this.
It's likely this. I can confirm it with if I select the VPC here. So it's 0C7. So it's 0C7. If there's only a single subnet in it. Yeah. So this is the one. So it's cool. It has been created.
Well, let's fix that quickly. Give it a name.
Okay. So going back to this one, and hopefully my thing here understands a name. Can I do name? Yeah. Or is it VPC name?
No, it's name.
Name. Okay. And let's call it CDK TF.
Bean streaming.
Bean streaming.
Of course. 3 Bs.
I love it. Stream. I don't think this is it, but okay.
Bean streaming.
Streaming. It doesn't matter. CRDR string CRDR block is not assignable parameter VPC config. Okay. So name is not the name. We cannot use name. So
that's interesting. Okay.
But we can figure this out.
I want to
figure this one out.
Yeah.
If I go to what is it? Gen providers. Actually, just do VPC.
I know the answer. I remember.
You know? So I can open up.
It's a tag.
Here. It's a tag.
You have to go. It's one of those things. We've got a lot of resource in AWS where you don't specify a name. You have to specify a tag with a key of name for it to apply. So, for example, it's the same with EC2 instances.
Okay. So,
but things that are explicitly named, like a security group's got an explicit name that you give it. So it differs sometimes between the resources.
So it's a tag. Oops, no, sorry, not here. So here and then tags like that. Perfect. How do you define tags in is it a
key value
key? But do you just do name and bean? Let's actually try something out.
Ooh. Okay, let's see. This looks like it should work. I'm very curious. So normally, let's see.
It may fail miserably.
Well, then we learned something.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, works fine still. Well, the thing is, yeah, on CloudFormation, you actually give it a name. It's not a tag. But Terraform here uses just tags. And to be honest, most resources are just tags, right? So even EC2, there's no name to an EC2. It's just a tag called name. So yeah, tags are super powerful, right?
I'm actually thinking out while we're waiting for this to. Oh wait, there we go. Just say yes. And while that's running, we should probably schedule an episode once a month. We can just call it a geek out. I know there was a podcast I listened to at one point, .NET Rocks, where they had a once, I think it's once a month or once a quarter. They called it a geek out episode where they just dived into super depth in a topic that wasn't necessarily coding. Like I remember episodes about airplane engines, and why can't you harness solar energy from the atmosphere down, and what the cost would be, and things like that. So I think we should schedule one like that.
I'm up for that. I'm up for that. Is there a limit to the amount of tags? I think 256 tags per resource is kind of the limit we have. I'm not sure, but there is a limit. Otherwise, it's unlimited storage. So you can harness tags as your databases, but don't.
That feels like the intro for Corey Quinn to come on stage and say using tags as a database.
Okay. All right. Oh, we have a VPC. There we go. And there's emoji support. Way.
Yes.
See,
okay, so it's 50 user tags per resource.
50 user tags per resource. There we go. Yeah. And there's a 256 character limit for a value and the name. So there is a limit. Otherwise.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. We have created this thing. Now, there's interesting things they mention here on the blog post is that you can combine things now, and this is I think the beauty if you want to use Terraform, that you can do things sometimes that are completely outside of AWS. For example, they have a chef provider. So
okay,
you can use a chef provider, and I'm not sure how this works here. Like you can create a data bag. Chef data bags are basically bags of data. It's a place where you store information where Chef can reference them. Chef executions, Chef runs can reference that data during the execution. So you can basically create a Chef provider. Right?
So maybe just quickly, a typical use case for that is creating a data bag of users inside Chef, where you would have an item inside this bag with an item per user. And then for that item, you would have details about the user. So first name, last name, email address, SSH, public key, etc., etc.
That's true. But first, let's actually, before we go into Chef stuff, because I think we cannot demonstrate Chef besides just saying, hey, this is how you would put the piece of code in, because we have no Chef running anywhere. Let's do the
You might not.
Hello. I might. I don't. Well, I have Opsworks, so there we go. Let's use the ultimate hello world and create an EC2 instance, right? So how would one go about and create? Let's try to do this without documentation, right? So let's try to make it EC2. I guess it's EC2 like that.
While you do that, excuse me for 1 second. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. Is it EC2? Ooh, it's not EC2. It's... it must be instance. Instance? It's instance. Okay. Instance. All right. This work. Let's create an instance. So... new instance. Now I don't have to define a constant here because I'm not going to be referencing this instance at all. If I'm going to do new instance and do this and call it my instance, of course, do some properties. So what are the properties we require? I need to define, I guess, image, right? Instance type. Now what is instance type? Is it going to be just T2 micro? I guess. Then I need to define image. AMI? AMI? Okay, I need to define an AMI. Ooh, interesting. Let's find an AMI. So, Mr. Sidekick, how are you doing? Since I don't have Cobus here. Cobus is back. Okay. So
apologies for that.
Joe Frickson is asking, subnet and VPC, is it needed to be defined? No, but you can create a VPC in some other existing, you can create an EC2 instance in some other existing VPC if you have. So we've done it because it's just an example here, right? So, but right now what I'm going to try to do is create an instance, right? Go.
Show me quickly. Oh, so you created an instance now with...
So I didn't yet. So this is how it
goes. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm not defining a constant here because I'm not going to be using this instance anywhere. So that's the difference between having a const here, because I'm going to be referencing this VPC somewhere. Now, I might need to set up a const on the subnet, because if I want to reference the subnet, this might work, but no.
Yeah, so by default, it'll spin up that EC2 instance inside the default VPC for your account unless you've deleted it.
Yeah, but I don't want that. So I want to create it in this VPC that I created. So yes. So Joe Frickson actually says that. So Terraform creates it in default unless we define it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, if you want to have fun, delete the default VPC in your account. It'll make you learn quite a lot of things.
Yeah. No. Thank you, but no.
So this is where I want to stop you. I want to say let's immediately figure out how to do a data source lookup. Because Terraform has this awesome feature which is so useful. You don't do this kind of copy pasting. You will use a data source for it. So let's have a look.
I wouldn't say that it's data source, right, or something like that. How do you reference it in? What is the name?
Normally, you can the block is just data. It's built into the actual.
But how do you reference the AMI? How do you get the AMI? What's the provider?
You do a lookup. So you would use the AWS provider. No, it's not a. So here's the thing: it'll be built into the actual provider as one of the things. So let's quickly see. Here we go. Referencing existing resources. Let me open up the page. Okay, so remote state is not supported.
It may not be supported. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's not that. It might not be built in yet. Let's have a look here if I see something. Now I'm going to look at our AWS blog post for this quick. Let's see if we've got something like that here. No, they've got it hard-coded, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think we'll... So let's hard-code it for now. We can come back to this.
Okay.
My feeling is that it might not be implemented yet because it is an interesting one.
Okay, fair point. So I know that you were using that in your own examples. So and then the AMI, let me just do it the wrong way. Again,
the less optimal way. It's not a
the
wrong
less
way.
Optimal way, yeah. And what else do we need to define? Image ID, the instance type, and is there anything else we need to define on Terraform to launch an EC2 instance? A VPC?
Nope, that's it.
Or is there a VPC?
Subnet. Because remember, VPC doesn't indicate which availability zone to launch it in. And even if you specify the availability zone, it doesn't know which subnet to grab. So you have to send in the subnet.
Okay.
Yeah. Subnet ID usually.
Okay. Subnet A, and let's not do this. Let's subnet 1, like that. And then subnet ID. I guess we can do a token. Again, the same approach as
probably
string, and then the value will be subnet 1.id. Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, that should be it. Yeah, I must say, this is one of the referencing things that I loved about Terraform is the ability to reference the variable directly or the other resource directly. And you can do a lot of interesting things like splatting and expanding. And let us see.
There's a question from Christmas Man. Is that a hard-coded change going from traditional S3 to the new Nitro as the data source?
Oh, no. Okay. To clarify, the data source that we are referring to here is a concept inside Terraform that you can use your provider's existing resources as data sources to do lookups. So, for example, we would define a data source as AWS AMI, and then you specify config in it, for example, what string do you want to search for? Do you want to only bring back the latest one, the sort order, what account it needs to be in, etc. And what you do is when you combine all of that together, it'll tell you that here's the AMI ID when I do a lookup against AWS for it. And if, for example, we release a new AMI and you set up your search to always bring back the first one, or only to pick one, and also grab in descending date order, it'll bring back a different AMI ID if you do it at a future date.
Okay. I like that feature about Terraform. Like I've seen that in your examples, and I think that's a very, very neat thing. So it would be cool to have it here as well, right? So
yes, I use it for my Sunday baking normally.
Great thing about, I'm so sorry to interrupt here. Great thing about CDK Terraform here is that you can actually run just an API call to AWS, because it's using TypeScript, and if you have our SDK, you can just invoke a call and get the latest AMI. So that's also a possibility. Okay, instance has been deployed. So looking at
should be up
what
and
we
running
have here, and if we go to one back, we haven't given it a name, but we can kind of try to guess which one it is, and it's this one.
Well, let's fix that again.
Okay, fair point.
We can literally copy and paste from the other block because it's also a name tag again.
I love that. And
there we go. And it's not a VPC. Well, we can call it a VPC to confuse someone.
Yes, but it's not tags.
You joke. So,
this is
side note quick. I saw code once where a person was worried about people stealing the code. So he renamed the variables to, he used yes and no, but in different spelling ways and different funny characters as all the variable names. So you would just have this long list of different variable names and then have them in complex Boolean statements where you go yes and yes with a dash on the E and not yes with this other dash on the E. Well,
okay.
Yeah. No.
Wow. You can do that because you can. A lot of programming languages support like Unicode, and you can use like letters that look very similar to other ones. For example, if I do this is an I, but if I do this, oh, not this one. I is a bad example. O, yes, O, and these are not the same O's, right? They're not. When it comes to font or Unicode, it's not the same. This is in Latin, and this one is in Cyrillic. Look identical, but they're not. So, but yeah, let me switch back to the English one.
So for those who wanted, Darko actually is Serbian, so he switches his keyboard to funny letters sometimes. Yes, well, funny for me at least.
I can do funny letters, right? Like this, or call my name Darko Meszaros, right? Meszaros. Oh, that's it. There you go. But yeah, it's
that almost looks like Mega Pow.
Mega Pow. So Cobus, a lesson in Cyrillic. This is the letter M, right? This is the letter E. This is the letter S or S. This is the letter A. This is the letter R, and this is the letter O again, and this is the letter Sh, like the SH. So this is it.
Nice.
There we go.
But yeah,
it's
so
called encryption. Wait, I'm wondering why when I switch to Cyrillic, my Vim doesn't work. Vim doesn't work because Vim expects English characters. So a lot of times I switch to Serbian, and I'm like, why doesn't it work? Oh, okay, cool. Updated. And actually,
yeah. So Christmas man, actually, I've worked with some people, not just Azerty keyboards instead of QWERTY keyboards. I've seen people do the whole remapping with they do what's the with the D?
Dvorak.
Yes, that one. I was going to say Darko, but yeah.
Dvorak.
Yes.
So, another test. We support emojis. Do we support Cyrillic in tags?
Ooh, let's see. Well, we will find out.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting right now. But like one of the things I have when I have a bunch of Serbian colleagues here as well, and when we talk to each other with somebody who's not Serbian speaking, we just excuse ourselves and we say let us enable SSL, and SSL is us speaking Serbian, and it's called the Serbian secret language. So we enable encryption so nobody can understand. So that's why I enabled encryption currently on CDK TF.
Oh well. But yeah, the keyboard thing is quite funny. I've got, where is it now? Here's the one half of it. It's a Ergodox mechanical keyboard. So lovely keyboard, but the keys are just different enough that I haven't been able to practice enough to get used to it, because I'm used to a natural keyboard where they're slightly offset, not a vertical column, but like a diagonal. And I simply cannot type on this new one yet. I'm practicing every day.
If you
I'm
don't
too
like
slow
it,
on
you
it
can set it over
otherwise.
my way. It's fine. So, have we created the streaming Serbian instance here? So we have updated it. So let's see if the name has actually been updated properly. There should be a coffee one. Yeah, it supports Cyrillic. Well, there we go.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
You can do that. Thank you. So I'm not sure who is it to thank. Is it the console folks, or is it the API folks, or anybody, or HashiCorp, or CDK?
Everybody in between.
Everybody in between. So yes, we've basically named our instance streaming. That means streaming. And by just setting a tag in the exact same way we did for a VPC. And I love that. I love that we can use the same naming. I love consistency. And sometimes AWS services are lacking consistency, especially in CloudFormation. So I love this. I think this is very cool. And just to confirm, I haven't even checked this. Is this instance running in that VPC?
Well, it should be. Otherwise, we've got issues.
It is. It's in the streaming VPC. Very good. I like this.
Nice.
I think this will be cool. Now, the great thing about this is that you can actually use things like Azure, Google, Kubernetes, Docker, whatever, right? So you can use different modules from Terraform, more or less in the same piece of code, right? So I think that's very, very cool. That it kind of supports all of that.
For me personally, I'm super excited about the one to use Terraform, well, either Terraform or the CDK Terraform version for managing Kubernetes resources, because that's one of the things that's been bugging me the last while. The more I work with Kubernetes is that you apply these YAML files to your cluster using kubectl or kubectl or however you pronounce it, but it's like piping a bash script on the internet. And what that ends up doing is that you just apply things against it, and then if you want to, for example, clean things up, you have to manually go delete services and pods and things, which just feels like very messy to me. So I'd love to
as well. I've never tried this. So there's a CDK natively for Kubernetes. I don't know how this works. I don't know Kubernetes at all. So it's something that exists. Apparently, it's older. It's before Terraform, CDK for Terraform. But yeah, it's built by us. So I have no idea how this works, right? Again, it's apparently a very similar thing. You import a web service, create a web app, and I don't even know how CDK looks. So that's
once again, I think it's similar to people who don't necessarily want to pick up an entire new like DSL just to interact with Kubernetes. They're comfortable with coding, and they don't want to go learn YAML and all the subparts of it. So yeah.
Now, the most important thing about any infrastructure as code is doing this.
Yes. Well, I'd hope so.
Why do you synthesize things, my friend? And I'm wondering where the Terraform state file is existing.
We should actually do that before we do the. Let's just wait for it to complete, and then before we execute it, okay, let's just see if there's a state file locally. Yeah, there we go.
State, yeah.
Boom. Because we didn't set up the remote one. You can open that up. Oh, no, I don't think you can do this. Oh, you can. Interesting.
There we go. So, yeah, okay, cool. That's very nice. Make sure to keep your state file somewhere safe. Don't keep it locally, at least not like this.
Yeah, I'd love to see how you can actually store the state file somewhere else other than HashiCorp's cloud, the Terraform cloud.
It supports. Apparently, I'm looking at the GitHub page right now. It supports Azure RM, GCS, Remote, and S3 as a backend. Okay. So there is a way to do it for sure.
Okay.
How to do it? Let me see if there's an example. Oh,
yes.
Basically, nice. it's an there you need to import. Let's actually do this. I'm gonna do this.
I'd love to finish this off because it's Oh, I see. We've got the real Darko here.
Huh? Sorry.
We've got the real Darko here. I'm concerned.
Oh, Darko. Oh. Excuse you. I'm the real Darko. People come to me like, oh, you have such a cool name. Darko is such an awesome name. Darko is the name Darko comes from the Serbian or Croatian word for gift. It's called dar, so it's basically gifto. So it's not as metal as you think. So yeah.
Well,
But my last name means the butcher. So there you go.
Oh, the butcher's gift. I like it.
The butcher's gift.
It's normally a nice cut of meat, I believe.
Macedonian. Okay, there you go. Well, Darko is a common name across all the former republics of Yugoslavia. So Macedonia, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, and wherever else. Okay, we have destroyed everything. But let's recreate this now. Will the Terraform state file exist here? Now, Cobus, tell me.
It should, but empty. It should be empty because the thing is that...
Yeah, it's 150 megabytes, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, what happens with the state file is the very first time you create any infrastructure, it'll create it. And thereafter, it keeps track of resources inside. And as you can see now, it's empty because guess what? There's nothing. But it'll always keep it.
Correct.
Because the other interesting part about this state file is that if we run, let's say I run plan twice and output that plan file twice in different locations. And then I go apply the one plan file, and then try and apply the other plan file. The second plan file will fail. The reason is that it'll say, listen, you generated this plan off an older version of the state file, so we can no longer be sure that things didn't change, so please go regenerate.
Got it. Okay, so let's actually do some Terraform. So first thing first, I need to find, I think I have an S3 bucket, because one of the things you have to have for a Terraform state file is an S3 bucket already existing. So, and I have one apparently, I just want to get its name. So I can use it here. So
it's like kind of that chicken egg. You need a little bit of infrastructure to get going before you can store your infrastructure there.
So there's this one I also been using here. Perfect. So yeah, cool. This is for my Terraform adventure. So I'm looking at the example here on the GitHub page, and I'm actually going to share it with the folks because open source.
Let them show them. There
we go. Cool. So now let's modify this one. So looking at the example here, it has app Terraform stack S3 backend. So it has to use a few things here, right? So it needs to we need to add more things. So we need to do is S3 backend like that, and we need to use data Terraform remote state S3, right? So these are the things we need to include here. Also, we need to import one more thing from AWS. Instead of AWS provider, we also need to import something called data AWS. Ooh, data AWS AMI. Cobus. It may be
there imported. We go. We found it.
Let's use this one as well.
It's the book that I read to my daughter every day says, I found it. That'll be the wolf.
S3 bucket object. Perfect. Coolio. Excellent. So, provider. Do we need to define the provider somehow? No, but we need to create a new S3 backend. So let's do backend config. Backend. Yeah, your sound canceling is definitely not on because the first time I can hear a keyboard. Otherwise, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm pondering here is that when I booted Windows this morning, it had an issue with the display driver. I had to reset the color and things. So I'm wondering if the display ID is not maybe right.
Maybe I don't know.
Because it's interesting. It's definitely configured. Well, this is good to know. So luckily we don't have the lawnmower next door. It's not Thursday, and my dog has been well behaved here.
That's fine. Your dog is always welcome
cute.
On the stream.
She's actually sleeping.
And the key, we should call it somehow, right? It's called
yes. So the key is actually what the, and then you can do that, and then give it like I normally go for Terraform.tf state.
Like that.
Yeah, I like to have the TF state extension. Yeah, just to be very explicit about what it is. Yeah. Now, quickly, just the region here is you stored the file in a bucket in a region somewhere, and that can be different to the infrastructure that you're spinning up. So this is just where is this bucket so it knows how to interact with it, because S3 buckets are region specific, even though the name is global.
Okay, and then we create so here's the thing, we create a bucket config, and then we have to create a state config, or const. Oh, we don't have to do this one. So this is the remote state. But do we have to do this?
We shouldn't need to.
No. It's the example here actually shows that I have a other state, and I have to reference a state as well.
Can you pop the example on screen quickly so I can want to take a look? Because I don't have the same file open.
I wish I can do that. Wait a second.
Is it just that main TS file?
Wait.
Oh, I've got it. Okay.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, I've got it here. Okay, yeah, this is cool. So you only need that first one. So the other one is if you want to store a different state. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but I need to define the referencing the remote state, right? So I need to define the line 24.
No, you don't.
No.
So no. So what that is, just quickly, for those curious, because also there's a question from Christmas Man as well. So the state file itself is just copied somewhere, and there's some property design, for example, locking, so that you can't have two people run a change to the same state file at the same moment.
Yeah.
Now, Terraform is configured to be able to handle different backends to store the state file in. S3 just happens to be one of them, used primarily on AWS. Sorry about that. And for example, so the question from Christmas Man is, yes, you can definitely use Azure to store your state file. Absolutely. And that state file can contain whatever you want in it. You can store it wherever you want to. Then getting back to the example over here, so the other property that's super interesting about Terraform is that you can reference another state file from another project or another chunk of infrastructure. So if I now set up, so what that second block does from line 18 in the code, as well as the block in line 24, is the first one sets up the reference to that other bucket. So I point to the other state file, and then what I can do is inside my infrastructure that I'm creating, I can reference resources from that other one if I expose them using outputs. So an example of this, for example, is that you can reference the, let's say I've created another environment where I've got the VPC and a load balancer. And now I go ahead and I want to deploy a new service, and it's got its own state file, its own set of Terraform infrastructure code. In there, I could say reference that other state file and reference the load balancer that I defined as an output there in terms of the configs. The other way to do it, which is what Darko is busy doing now, is doing a data lookup. So that's another way you can do it. The difference between the two is that with a state file, you can do some interesting things when you manage the outputs that way. So think of it like a private class that you are exposing some of the private internal variables for it.
So this is basically the thing we were talking about initially. How can I find the latest AMI instead of just manually? So you have to use owners here, right? You have to use something like AWS,
right? I know self is your own account. Let me quickly do that lookup for you. Give me a second.
I mean, how do you find the latest AMI, AWS AMI?
So normally what you would do is you would give it there are a couple of things you have to pop in there. The first one being the account owner. So let me see. Give me a second here. Data sources. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, owners. Oh, Amazon, not AWS. Yeah.
Okay. And then what is the filter? Do you use a filter or?
Yeah, you've got a filter. It's going to have a name and a value as keys.
Okay.
That's another block, yeah. And then you should specify name. Yeah. And now you can give it something like, if you grab, that might be a bit overly broad, but let's start with that just to, and then values would be, oh, sorry, name. Oh, this is interesting. The filter is name, and then the type of filter is name, because these are key value pairs, and then the values is equal to a string array of, yeah. While that's going on, let me quickly take this question we have over here, which is using CDK from Terraform, with Terraform. Can you use real code? Yes, that's what we're doing over here. We're busy using TypeScript. And this is one of the reasons why CDK is popular. It's specifically for developers that aren't interested in learning a new DSL, but still want to create the infrastructure. And it solves that by providing a interface to different programming languages. So you can use TypeScript, JavaScript, C#, F#, Python, and Java at the moment, with Go coming soon. And now what they've done is they've used that base to extend, or to make it you're able to use Terraform inside the CDK. So you use the programming language inside CDK for that, which is in this case TypeScript. And currently they have support for TypeScript, JavaScript, and I think you saw Python there initially.
Python. So currently only TypeScript and Python. I mean, JavaScript is natively because it compiles to JavaScript, but it's, yeah. Here's the thing. It's not just a standard thing. It uses an object called data AWS MI filter. So I looked up the source now. So it uses this as, I cannot just use it that way. So I think we're going to skip this for now because we have 5 minutes left. So
yes, we have to wrap
here's
up.
the thing. I'm going to remove this. So come back to us next time once we start doing more things with this. I mean, this has been just a simple intermission from our normal stream, but we're definitely going to be looking more into CDK TF as well because I find it very interesting. Okay, it's going to complain
Also,
that this is not being used. Yeah, go ahead.
So just quickly, question for those people that are watching today, because it does seem a slightly higher count than we normally see. Can people put up their hands quickly in terms of if they want us to cover Terraform in more detail? Because I know we've been focusing on CDK the last while, but that's just literally what we started off with as an idea. So please put up your hand if you want some Terraform. I mean, I can even look to do some extra sessions on the side, or we can schedule something extra outside the normal programming schedule.
Just to answer something from Graham, what is the advantage of using Terraform with CDK instead of CDK alone? So CDK alone just focuses on CloudFormation and AWS resources to an extent, right? Well, if you use Terraform, you have the ability to do anything that Terraform supports, right? So Terraform supports doing things on GCP, doing Kubernetes, doing Azure, doing, I think, even DigitalOcean and a whole bunch of things. So if you're a fan of Terraform, if you've been using Terraform for a long time or have an infrastructure that's dependent on Terraform, CDK for Terraform can actually enable you to do much, much more, right? So
cool. Yeah, so as context, the AWS is one provider, and last time I checked, Terraform has more than 200, including even some networking gear.
Correct,
so
correct.
it's
yeah, cool. We're going to be doing much more like with Terraform and CDK. I think we're going to, as you may notice, both of us are very big fans of infrastructure as code. So I think doing more of that is very cool, right? So I think we're going to be teeter-tottering between Terraform and CDK and CloudFormation and a bunch of other things. The thing is, we all have our different experiences in these codes, and it's great to kind of bounce off of each other, you know, ideas and how it works. And I don't know Terraform, I know CDK, but now we keep on discussing this in a very interesting way. So I like it so much. So expect more Terraform for sure. Yeah. So now
and also
I'm deploying this right now. So let's see what it has. Please go.
Cool. Now, what I was going to say is that one of the things we want to do going forward, and the reason why we started with the CDK, is we want to lay that foundational work on this is how you do infrastructure as code with the CDK. And then when we start playing with different services and different things, we'll always build it out with the CDK, because that's one of the better ways to start.
Correct. So what is AWS policy on hosting blockchain nodes?
You can.
You can, absolutely. I mean, there's a blockchain solution on AWS if you want. So
there's a but I think normally what it boils down to is certain. So, for example, if you want to spin up a torrent server on an AWS instance, that'll be a breach of our TNC, unless you're contacting our support. Because in general, torrents, when someone says torrents, the first thing you think of is pirated media. But there are legitimate ways to actually use torrents to actually distribute things like ISO images for Linux installations, etc., that are commonly used. So once again, contact, if you've got a use case like that, contact your account manager or AWS security and tell them, listen, this is what you want to use. Explain the use case, and they'll be able to take it from there. I can't guarantee that they'll allow it, but there are legitimate use cases for hosting your own BitTorrent. Oh, sorry, BitTorrent. Wow, your own blockchain node.
Okay, I can confirm that the Terraform state file is up on my S3 bucket, which is amazing.
Yep.
And yeah, everything has been launched again. We have created a VPC, an EC2 instance, and a subnet. So that's pretty cool. I think this works like a charm.
Awesome.
Cool. Also, Joe Frickson asks, when is this going to be on GitHub? I'm going to publish it to GitHub after, today, right? I'm going to do it
later today.
We have a meeting after this one, and after we're going to just kind of clean it up a bit and push it to AWS.
I think then wrapping up is just the plans for what we're going to do forward. Is we had a discussion on Friday where we are busy setting up a joint AWS account as well as probably a joint GitHub repo as well, specifically for all the bean streaming code that we have here. Because at the moment, the code is on Darko's repo, and we want to make it very clear and easy for people to find the code. So we'll
correct.
Hopefully by Friday we'll have everything ready, and then we'll start sharing it in. Specifically with this is where we're playing. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Also, do follow us on the social medias and the YouTubes and the whatnots. So we are here basically every Monday and Friday doing kind of the same thing. And yeah, next time, Friday, the same time as right now, do join us for. I'm not sure if we're going to continue the Terraform stuff. We may just continue a bit more Terraform. And then next week, we're going to go back to CDK again. So it's going to be a jump in between. Okay.
And quick, one more shout out now, since we organized it from last week we organized for this week is Wednesdays at 11. So the same start time of this show. We've got the EMEA wide AMA session. So Ask Me Anything, which is our entire team. So that's an hour-long session where you can pop on and ask us technical questions. It'll be hosted here on the official AWS channel, as well as what's known as the Cloud Builders YouTube channel. So we stream there and we upload videos there as well. But join us on Wednesday mornings at 11 Central Eastern Time. That'll be 10 a.m. British time and 12 a.m. for the more Eastern, like Nordics and those time zones.
Eastern European time. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Excellent.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Ending the broadcast right now. Thank you all.
Cool. Awesome. Cheers.
Bye-bye.